Hello, and welcome back, most illustrious members of the Detail. I'm your host, D, also known as MTF Doom, and I don't know how to start this video. I don't know how to intro it. I have recorded this 2 or 3 times, and each time I kind of stumble over what I'm saying, not because it's particularly difficult, but because there's not a lot of direction to this one. It covers a lot of topics, and I still want to give you a reasonable set expectation going into it, so no one feels like they got harangued, like, oh, I thought I was getting into one thing and it's another. So the wide overarching themes are sort of like drama and accountability and community, but it's not as highfalutin as all that. And I guess that's the best way that I can intro it. I hope you enjoy. So just before we get started, if you enjoy my content, you should subscribe, and we're gonna get into why that is partly later. But it's because I kind of like being beholden to people. I like having people question me and ask and give feedback, and that's kind of what we're gonna talk about. So in a roundabout way, this whole video is about you subscribing to this channel. So I guess, well, I'm just gonna get into it. All right. For those of you on Discord, I haven't shared this story in a video yet, I don't believe. But some of you who've been there on Discord quite a long time have probably heard it. I think I've only shared it once or twice. I actually think I might have said it in a video once. But I started making these videos because I was part of someone else's community, right? A different Discord channel, whatever. And they did very similar to me. They asked for feedback and input and whatever. And I was like very invested in their Discord, especially when they were smaller. They're medium time now. That's not shade. They're just like, I don't know. It's not Jeff Hoogland. I'm not. Another part of this is I'm not going to give away who this is because I don't want it to affect them in any negative way. The thing that I'm going to be talking about, the drama, is very minor in every way that's like important. It's very minor drama. It's not interpersonal drama. It's not something worth even getting upset about. It's just something that brings up a larger point that I wanted to talk about. So I'm part of this person's community, and one of the, like my Discord, they have a channel for video ideas. It's usually a deck. We'll just be serious, but they had a channel for video ideas, and I was pretty active in the Discord, and I did a lot of different stuff with all different community members. And one of the things I would do was give video ideas, and I came up with one. I'm not going to say what the idea was because I don't want to give anything away here. And it was really obvious that this person had not ever thought of that before. By their answer, they were like, "Wow, ooh, there's a lot to cover there. I'd probably need some time. That's a good idea," something like that, right? And I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, awesome." A couple days later, the video comes out, and they haven't credited it to anyone. Not even like this came from Discord. It's just presented as if it was an idea which came to them and then they made a video about. And that's why I say this is very minor drama. It's not worth getting upset about. It's not worth like trying to hold that person accountable. And we're going to get into like what that would even mean. And that's kind of what this video is about. But the point is, I wanted to do better. And I ended up leaving that Discord and unsubscribing. And you could be like, you overreacted, you're kind of butthurt. Yeah, maybe, but it felt real personal. It felt, I don't know. It felt like a betrayal as a friend. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe this person doesn't count. And you know, there's a lot of people, like, there's a lot of people who watch these videos. There's a lot of people in Discord. I'd like to think that the people in Discord I've mostly made friends with. Like, the people who are active anyway in any meaningful capacity. I appreciate those of you who just joined the Discord and probably promptly immediately muted it. Like, I appreciate that you were just like, I like this person enough that I'm going to join the Discord and see what's up, even if I never talk. That's like, I'm cool with that. But anyone who gives me any kind of an idea, anyone who talks to me, anyone who like makes custom cards, they're always going to get a shout out. And I've made that really clear in the past, I hope. I just love highlighting that. I have the ability to make these videos. It is a privilege that not everyone can afford. I mean, Clips pointed out that they, I said they'd be like an incredible like video essayist probably by how they write. They don't have the equipment to do this. I'm only blessed with the ability to do this because of a donation of a really nice quality microphone from a really close personal friend, or I wouldn't be able to do this. I don't want to be on camera, so if I didn't have my wife to make this avatar for me, I wouldn't be here. But through all of that, not only am I able to do this cool little art project that is this channel, which is just a way to be creative through the cipher that is Marvel Snap, which is really funny because Marvel as a whole, Disney in general, is so devoid of creativity, right? Like, oh my god, it's really funny that this is the thing that got me to like start doing this. But it's that I want more people to do that. And so while I won't call out that other person, I will call you out, motherfucker, because it's in a very loving, chiding way. But one of the reasons that this came to mind and that this has been sitting with me is that Discord user Evil Bart, while we were talking politics on Discord one day, which is something you're not supposed to do, or you're supposed to do only that. It's the middle ground is the worst place to be. Someone who's not a politics YouTuber who sometimes talks politics is like the worst. You get the most people who just hate you, and like you also don't make a bunch of money off of it. It's like, I don't know why I do it, except that like I want to be a genuine person and talk about the things that actually matter to me. But Evil Bart's input at the sort of summation and of all of this was that they thought basically that their worldview was, and I'm paraphrasing, and I hope that I'm doing it justice and steelmanning it, that you just have to look out for yourself and your loved ones because no one else is going to. And I appreciate where that's coming from, and I like honor that. But to me, I want to do better. I want other people to thrive. Obviously, I also want to thrive, but in the capacity that I'm able to, I want other people to thrive. And I think that's why that kind of just like very minor not getting a shout out felt so bad. It felt so like, damn, I really want this person to thrive. And it doesn't feel like it's getting, and I say again, maybe that isn't fair. Like, genuinely, maybe it isn't fair. And I say again, please don't try to figure out who this is and harass them. It isn't worth it. I do not want that. But I do want to be accountable to all of you. And so far, that's worked really well. Usually in terms of I messed up something about a deck tech or a location or just a piece of info, and you've corrected me and I've had the grace to go, yeah, I was wrong. But like, going forward, if I say something real dumb, honestly, maybe in this video when I said Marvel was devoid of creativity, there's someone who's probably going to be kind of upset by that, and I hope that if they come forward, it's probably going to be Shaz. I'm just going to be real with you. The point is, I want all of you to make art. I want all of you to thrive and be creative. I want you to join the Discord and share that art. And with all that being said, putting my money where my mouth is. So thanks for joining me. Did you want to give a little intro on who you are?
Online, I'm mostly known as Grackleflint. I'm a 50-year-old artist, gamer, um, songwriter, uh, pop
friend
culture enthusiast,
friend of the channel. Friend of the channel, Grackle Flint.
friend of the channel. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And so I didn't actually give this up in the intro. I told the story that I had told you. Grack and I
Hmm.
have connected quite a lot over this budding endeavor. He's got a lot of the same ideas of just like wanting to make art, I feel like, and wanting to share it and just be present. And so I shared the story with him, and he said, "Oh, actually, D, I have kind of a funny story about a community that wasn't really, you know, advocating for itself, and people were taking advantage." And I didn't ask for more details because I wanted to get it here. So it's the indie comic community. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, a few years back, I decided to create an Instagram account to promote my art. God, I guess actually it's more than a few years back now. So back in 2015, I got myself a table at Emerald City Comic Con, and that's when I started posting to Instagram to promote the work I was doing and try to drum up some interest. Um, More recently, though, about 3 years ago, I was approached by some people on Instagram that were following me, and I was following them, and we were commenting on each other's art. They had formed an indie comic union, and the goal was to help promote each other, kind of do cross promotion, but also club together and work on comics anthologies together. And it was great. At first, they would come up with a theme. For example, one of the books was called Great Works. You had to pick a famous work of art and do a mini comic based on it. Um, and um, that was pretty fun. But it's a lot of artists. Not a lot of business-minded people. So nobody really knew what we were doing with the book or books. And so somebody was kind enough to volunteer to do the layout. Somebody would volunteer to do the cover, back cover, things like that. And then it was like print it and do whatever you want with it, but don't sell it for more than cost. So whatever it costs you to print it, because nobody in the book is getting paid. There was no like formalized system to aggregate the money and dole it out in a fair way. So here we were putting a ton of work into these books, and really the only get was like your Instagram, like your contact info was attached to your piece. And if you sold the book or gave it out to friends, like they would take an interest in these other artists and they'd have a cool book. um but it's difficult to build a following that way. It's a nice idea, um but
Yeah,
ultimately
yeah,
it doesn't get you a lot of traction out there.
yeah. So I mean, it's ultimately right. It's like the, it's almost doing yourself dirty in the will work for exposure vein that they
Yes.
always try to hit us creatives with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And no, I mean, we've taken the vulture out of that equation because no one is making any money off of this. But yeah, we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot because we are doing the will work for exposure thing to ourselves. And it did foster a sense of community. It was like the kind of the kick in the butt I needed at the time to do some work. I met some really nice artists. I still talk to some of them. um but yeah, I mean, even it felt to me even worse than I don't even really know what to call it, but we a bunch of my artist friends and I talk about handing the same $20 bill around. It's like, oh, I love your stuff on Instagram, and your Etsy store looks so cool, and you go buy a piece from somebody, and then maybe next month they just buy a piece off of your store, and you're just handing this $20 bill around,
yeah,
buying prints and postcards and whatever, pins, stationery. and it feels good to have that support, but we're all hungering for that external, sort of non-artist audience. Build a following of people who maybe don't create art, but really do it, or the type of art that you create, but really appreciate the process and the effort that goes into it. And eh, where, I'm 50, I don't know where to find that. It is extremely hard. Um, and I will fully admit, falling down on this aspect of my pursuit. Um, and it's why I've kind of retreated from social media. I've retreated from Instagram. I just recently reopened my Ko-fi or coffee page.
Yeah, link
Um,
in the description, by the way. If you
oh,
want to,
thank you so
yeah,
much.
absolutely, absolutely. That's part of, like, I mean, the whole point is that, like, I want to amplify community voices. Like, part of that is the monetary. Like, to jump in on it, like, my wife vends. She does mostly in-person vending for her art and different stuff that she does. And it's the same deal. She
Mhm.
actually just cuts out the middle person. Instead of being like, "Hey, I'll buy this from you. You were like wanting to buy something from me." She like, "You just want to trade? You just like it's the same. You
Yeah.
just like we'll just
Hmm.
don't need to give each other money. Just you want some art and I'll take some from you, and like if we're both happy with it, cuz it's the same thing." And it is important that your money like circle through your own economy. That's like something that
Yeah.
marginalized groups like have a really hard time with, like, is getting like that external money to come into your economy, though. But at the very least you can keep spending it within your own community to help each other out. It's something,
Yes.
but it's not great. It's not the best.
It's not the best feeling, no. And speaking of which, I had another experience that was like that, and it was very fulfilling. A couple of years ago, an artist I followed on Instagram, Stace Art, which I'll send you the link. I really love to promote her and promote her stuff. She's fantastic. Um, but she came up with this idea of I should say they came up with this idea for something called Inventory May. And so every day in May, you had to draw a piece of equipment or gear or something that this imaginary character was carrying on their person. And then the final piece at the end of the month was a drawing of this character with some of these items. And I'm like, wow, what a great way to like get into the head of a fictional character. And it was some of the best art I've done. And then we met, and I got to meet a couple of other people that did Inventory May, and online and in person. And we did that. We traded. We're like, oh, I really like your, walking stick, or the backpack you drew for your character. I'll trade it for the teapot or whatever. And so I have this little box of like trading cards. And I
That's
mean, that's
sick.
that's all it
That's
was. And there
so
was, yeah,
sick.
isn't that cool? And there was no expectation set up. It wasn't as grandiose as the trade uh, paperback that I did with the Comics Union. Um, and so it was such a pleasant surprise and such a good feeling because we were trading for the cards we really wanted, and suddenly you're like, I don't know, I really like this design. I got to trade it for something really cool. um, but yeah, it was really neat. And as a lifelong CCG player, like, I don't know, it you know it it did something for me. Uh, it just pressed a button,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was like, this is
it's
fun. I
that
want more of this.
that oh my god, you put something on like a piece of cardboard and make it rectangular and it hits the serotonin spot for me 100 times.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. My
yeah. I'll have to post the inventory, and you can look through it. And maybe pick a card.
yeah, I'd love to. My work badge, my wife actually did a custom like piece of art on the back of a magic card. So my work badge is a magic card that has like my name and pronouns on it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so much
Uh,
better. You put something on a card and it feels better.
it does.
So all right, so the uh that's I mean all that's really good input. I feel like, I didn't really know what was going to come of this. I didn't know if it was going to be like a
Yeah, me
negative
either.
story or a positive story, but I appreciate that the story of your, like, indie publishing project was one of mutual, like, active accountability, and not so much one of like someone kind of playing fast and loose with the interpersonal relationship, which, as you know, that's like the story that sort of opened this video, though you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all right. Cool. I was expecting a more negative take, but I'm pleasantly surprised that it was like, no, it was cool. We all work together, and mutualism is great, and you should do it more, because that is like, yeah, that is how it should be. Absolutely.
Oh, totally. And there was, when I initially spoke to you about this, there was a very negative story, or event that had arisen from this. But when I sat down today before our call, I thought, I'm gonna focus on the positive that came out of it. But I still included full disclosure. Like, it still doesn't, like you said, it doesn't feel great, and we're not really helping each other in a financial way. Um, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like,
look at
the big thing, right, is like, yeah, you like we don't want it to be about the money, right? When you make art, you don't want it to be about the money, but you have bills to pay, right? Like, so when
yes,
someone's playing fast and loose with those types of like engagements, those kinds of like, yeah, no, we're all part of the community. And like, you see it here in the art scene. Like, there are people who their heart is in it fully for the art, and then there's people who, like, their heart is in it, but it's not fully for the art, and it's some kind about the money, and it's not great, and it's not always a good look, and it sucks that that has to be the case, and I just wish it didn't have to
yes.
be. And yeah.
It really does suck. And I mean, you're starting to get through our conversations on Discord. You're starting to get a feel for how I feel about capitalism in general. And singing and dancing and art making are things humans have done forever. And then suddenly, when you introduce capitalism into it, people stop. By and large, people don't think they should do it unless they rate, unless they're good enough to make money at that thing, unless they can turn it into a side hustle. And then you miss out on all these, there are all these latent artists that haven't emerged because they look at other people's work and they're like, well, they're making money at it. I couldn't do that. So why bother? And
And
it's
like,
just got such a chilling effect on creativity.
and like 100%. Another, like, my wife is like a huge inspiration, and like when we got together, that was something that she still does now, but she's like fairly big in the local art scene, and takes such care to like prop people up from that community and be like, yo, you've never vended before? I've seen your stuff on Instagram. Come through. No table fee for you. It's your first year. Like, just hop in
Oh,
here and like grab a table and like start slinging and see what happens. And like, that was such an inspiration. And I feel like that's like part of, I've taken a lot of that and like internalized it since getting together with her, and it's part of like why we're here right now, like not just the you and I, but like the whole channel.
that's fantastic. Yeah, and God, I don't want to end on a negative note, but I just want to throw out one more thing. Like, yeah, we've all got bills to pay, um, you know, and it starts at an early age. I don't want to claim like, oh, I've got so many more bills, because I'm X age, whatever. But I was doing um, artwork for this local comic panel, and the third time, fourth time, I was like, I told my buddy, I'm like, I can't do this for free anymore, man. It's great, but and the thing was, I was seeing a lot of people in their orbit get paid for certain services and things, and he was, charging ticket prices and doling out money for a venue, and I never heard from him again, man. And
Ah,
that
that's
that's rough.
that's
That's rough.
slimy. That's so slimy. I'm
And
sorry.
and then and then I saw that they had the hosts of the panel had paid an artist to do like, you know, comic style portraits of them. I'm like, man, I'm right here, dude. But So yeah, really, it's a whole, yeah, it's a rabbit hole we could go down. We could talk for hours about, the times we didn't get paid or the times it felt bad. But um, a lot of my experiences have been really good. I'm going to turn it around right now here. I do have a couple of clients who stream video games on YouTube, and they're some of the best customers I've ever had, and we've become friends. But yeah, they're breaking their backs, fighting the YouTube algorithm to try to get their content seen, and both of them have said, not in so many words, but hey, I know what it's like. I know what your work is worth. No freebies. Here's what I need for my channel. Just tell me what to pay. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
great.
like that's so great because just from the way you're talking about it, these aren't people with a million followers, right? Like they're
No,
but they're
10,000,
willing to
2,000.
engage. Yeah, they're willing to engage with what art is worth to them and to the world outside of like how much they're getting paid, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, a really great example of a project that just completely blew up. There's this RPG that showed up on Kickstarter called Shadow Dark, and the two women who built it from the ground up spent years, several years, I think 4 or 5 years before going to Kickstarter. And before going to Kickstarter, they actually had art created for their RPG, and they paid those artists. They didn't say, "Hey, we're going to kickstart it, and when the Kickstarter money comes in, we'll pay you guys." They just paid them up front. And I don't hear stories like this very often at all, which is,
You
why I'm
really
sharing it.
don't. You
It's
really
so
don't hear
good.
stories like that certainly often enough. Um
Especially involving Kickstarter. It's
yeah.
always, yeah, when we hit that, we hit the Kickstarter goal, you guys are all going to get paid, and it like never happens.
Yeah, and then the floor falls out and nothing materializes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Grack, thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming on
Yeah.
and talking and
It's been my pleasure.
yeah, and like I said, links down below to Grack's coffee. If there's anything else you want me to put in, like just send it to me, yeah, your Instagram,
Yeah,
whatever.
we'll do.
And yeah,
Mhm.
thank you so much. To everyone else, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.